Welcome to my channel. Listen to my stories every day. Comment, like and subscribe to my channel. Enjoy listening.
The incessant buzz of my phone shattered the silence of the night, ripping me from the shallow grips of sleep. I glanced at the clock, 2:37 a.m. Who would call at this hour? With a groan, I reached over and grabbed the phone, the screen illuminating a number I didn't recognize. Hello. My voice was thick with sleep. Is this Michael Sanderson? The voice on the other end was distorted, possibly masked digitally. Yes. Who's this? What do you want? I know about your wife, Michael. About her indiscretions. The words were cold, calculated. A chill ran down my spine. What are you talking about? I'm talking about your wife, Emily. She's not been faithful to you. I can prove it. I have evidence of her meetings with another man. Every nerve in my body tensed. Why are you telling me this? Who are you? Who I am is not important. What matters is that I can show you the truth. Meet me tomorrow at the Riverside Cafe, 10 a.m. You'll see for yourself. Why should I trust you? I demanded, my heart pounding in my chest. You don't have to trust me. Just come and see. Unless you're afraid of the truth. With that, the line went dead. I sat in the darkness, the weight of the call pressing down on me. Emily's face flashed before my eyes, her bright smile, the way she laughed. It couldn't be true, could it? Morning came too quickly, and I found myself sitting at a corner table at Riverside Cafe, my eyes scanning every face. At precisely 10 a.m., a man in a dark hoodie and sunglasses approached. He slid into the seat across from me, a manila envelope in hand. You came, he noted, his voice still slightly distorted by some device. Let's cut to the chase. What's your game? What do you want from me? He slid the envelope across the table. Inside are pictures, dates, times. Everything you need to see the truth for yourself. Tentatively, I opened the envelope and pulled out several photographs. There they were, images of Emily with another man, intimate, unguarded. My world began to spin. These were taken over the last 3 months, he continued. There's more, but I thought this would be enough for a start. Why are you doing this? Why tell me? The man leaned back, removing his sunglasses, and for the first time, I could see his eyes, cold and detached. Because I was like you once. Blissfully unaware. She did the same to me. Who are you? He smiled, a humorless curve of his lips. Just consider me an anonymous friend for now. Someone who hates deception as much as you should. He stood up, preparing to leave. Do what you will with this, Michael. Goodbye. I sat there, frozen, as he disappeared into the bustling crowd of the cafe. The photos lay scattered before me, each one a stab of betrayal. I knew what I had to do. The path ahead was clear but fraught with darkness. This was just the beginning. I spent the next few days shadowing Emily, a woman I thought I knew. The images from the envelope burned into my memory, guiding my every move. I needed more answers, needed to understand the depth of her deceit. One evening, as I followed her from our home to a sleek downtown office building, I watched her disappear through the doors marked Jennings and Company. I knew this place, it was where she had started working last year. My gut twisted as I realized this must be where she met him. Parking my car across the street, I waited. Hours passed until finally, Emily emerged, laughing, her hand touching the arm of a man who was decidedly not me. They said their goodbyes, and she walked toward the parking lot while he went back inside. Seizing the moment, I approached him. Excuse me, are you Mark Jennings? I asked, confronting the man as he re-entered the building. He paused, eyeing me suspiciously. I am. And you are? Someone who needs to talk to you about Emily Sanderson. My voice was firm, the envelope's contents flashing before my eyes. Mark's expression changed, a mix of recognition and caution. I think we should speak privately. Come with me. Inside his office, Mark closed the door and turned to face me. What about Emily? I threw the photographs on his desk. I believe you know exactly what this is about. Mark sighed, rubbing his temple. Look, I didn't know she was married. She told me she was separated, dealing with the end of a relationship. His words struck me, but I remained focused. And you just believed her. It wasn't my place to question her personal life. We were consenting adults. He paused, his gaze meeting mine. I ended it when I found out she was seeing someone else here, our supervisor, Jeff. It seemed she wasn't truthful with either of us. So, you decided to expose her to her husband? Why? I prodded, trying to understand his angle. I thought you deserved to know, as I would have. I figured it out, confronted her, and she confirmed it. That's when I realized the kind of person she was, Mark confessed, his voice bitter. So where do we go from here? I asked, the weight of his betrayal and hers heavy in the room. I don't want anything to do with her anymore. As for you, that's your decision to make. Mark leaned back, his part said. As I left his office, my phone buzzed. It was a message from Emily, running late tonight, don't wait up. The irony of the message wasn't lost on me. I drove home in a daze, my mind racing. This was no longer just about a cheating spouse, it was a tangled web of lies and deceit impacting more lives than just my own. Emily's manipulations had deep roots, and I was only beginning to grasp their reach. As I parked in the driveway, the lights in our home flickered on, beckoning me back to a life I no longer recognized. In the shadows of my own living room, I contemplated my next move. Revenge was a path that promised no return, yet justice demanded retribution. I needed a plan, one that would expose the truth to all who were blind to Emily's duplicity. As the night deepened, my resolve hardened. Emily's fate was now inexorably tied to the choices I was about to make. This was just the beginning, and the end would be of my own design. The following morning, as the first light of dawn seeped through the blinds, I was already awake, a plan slowly forming in my mind. Today, I would confront Emily, but not before securing an ally. If her deceit involved more people at her office, I needed inside information. I decided to meet with Jeff, her supervisor, whom Mark had mentioned. I arrived at Jennings & Company just after 9, the busy hum of the office space buzzing around me. The receptionist looked up, a practiced smile on her face. How can I help you? I need to speak with Jeff Anderson, it's urgent, I said, maintaining a calm I did not feel. After a brief wait, I was ushered into a spacious office where a man in his 40s, with graying temples and a sharp suit, stood to greet me. Michael Sanderson, I presume? Mark warned me you might come. Yes, I think we have much to discuss about Emily. My voice was steady, my gaze unwavering. Jeff nodded, gesturing for me to sit. I won't waste your time. Emily has been clever, but her actions have caught up with her. I can help you, but I need to know you're not here to cause a scene. I want the truth, I stated plainly. And I want her actions to come to light. She can't just walk away from this unscathed. Fair enough, Jeff replied, leaning back. Emily used her charm and wit to climb the ranks quickly, but she's been playing a dangerous game. I found out she was using her relationships to gain leverage in the company. When Mark found out she lied about her marital status, I started keeping a closer eye on her. And? I prompted. And I caught her using confidential information to negotiate a better position with our competitors. She's been playing all sides. The revelation hit me like a blow. Emily's deceit was deeper than personal betrayal, it was criminal. Do you have proof of this? Jeff opened a drawer and handed me a stack of emails and documents. Here. It's everything I've compiled over the last few months. I was planning to confront her myself, but it seems you have a more personal stake in this. Thank you, I said, flipping through the documents. The evidence was damning. As for your next steps, Jeff continued, you could take this to the police. With the evidence of her corporate espionage, they'll have to investigate. I nodded, the wheels in my mind turning. I might do just that. But first, she needs to understand the gravity of her choices directly from me. Leaving the office, I felt a mix of dread and determination. It was one thing to suspect your spouse of infidelity, another to uncover a web of lies so elaborate it implicated crimes against her workplace. I drove home, the evidence beside me, and found Emily in the kitchen, her back to me as she hummed softly. The normalcy of the scene was surreal. Emily, I began, my voice echoing slightly in the quiet room. She turned, a smile on her face that faltered when she saw my expression. Mike? What's wrong? We need to talk. It's important. I held up the documents. About your work. About us. Her eyes widened as she took in the stack in my hand, and for the first time, I saw real fear in her gaze. Mike, No, I cut her off, stepping forward. It's time I knew everything, Emily. No more lies. The room felt colder as I laid out the documents on the table, the proof of her betrayals displayed between us. The conversation that followed would shatter the remnants of our marriage, but it was necessary. The storm was here, and it would leave nothing unchanged. The kitchen was silent, the only sound the rustling of papers as Emily slowly turned over each document, her face growing paler with each passing moment. Finally, she looked up, her eyes meeting mine, a mix of defiance and defeat in her gaze. Michael, I can explain, she began, her voice trembling. Explain. Emily, how do you explain years of lies? Not just to me, but to your colleagues, to everyone around you. My voice was steady, but inside, I was reeling. She took a deep breath, steadying herself. I started this thinking it was just about advancing my career. But then it grew into something I couldn't control. I never meant to hurt you. I shook my head, the weight of her betrayal heavy on my heart. But you did, Emily. More than you know. I paused, gathering the courage to say what came next. I've already spoken to Jeff and the authorities. They're investigating, and with this evidence, it won't be long until. The doorbell rang, cutting me off. Puzzled, I moved towards the door, glancing back at Emily who seemed just as confused. I opened it to find a man and a woman in plain clothes, flashing badges quickly. Mr. Sanderson. I'm Detective Larson, and this is my partner, Detective Mayer. We need to speak with you about the allegations against your wife. May we come in? I nodded, stepping aside to let them enter. Emily stood frozen in the kitchen as the detectives took a seat. Mrs. Sanderson, you're under investigation for corporate espionage. We've received compelling evidence from your employer, Detective Larson began, but Emily interrupted. This isn't just about the company. Tell him, Michael. Tell them about us. Emily's sudden outburst surprised me. I turned to her, confused. What are you talking about? She swallowed hard, her eyes darting between the detectives and me. Michael, there's more. I've been helping the FBI as an informant. The company has been under investigation for years for more serious crimes than what I was involved in. They promised me protection, a new identity, but only if I provided enough evidence. Detective Mayer spoke up, that's correct, Mr. Sanderson. Your wife has been working with us as part of an operation. We hadn't disclosed this to protect her cover and because you were never the target or suspect. I stood there, stunned, trying to digest the information. So, the affairs. They were part of the cover, necessary to gain trust. Nothing more, Emily interjected, her voice pleading. The room spun as I processed her words. Betrayal, deceit, and now this, a twist that left me questioning everything. Detective Larson added, "We understand this is a lot to take in, Mr. Sanderson. We're here to offer protection if needed, given the sensitivity of the information your wife has uncovered." I looked at Emily, seeing her not as the betrayer, but as someone who had been living a dangerous double life to expose greater evils. "Emily, why didn't you tell me?" I asked, my voice breaking with the strain of my emotions. "I wanted to, so many times. But the less you knew, the safer you'd be." "I couldn't risk your safety," she said, tears streaming down her face. The detectives gave us a moment before continuing. "Mr. Sanderson, we'll need your cooperation moving forward. There's still much to do." As they spoke, laying out the steps for the coming days, I realized the depth of Emily's sacrifice. She had traded our life together for a greater good. It was a lot to forgive, but in the echoes of her confession, I found the strength to see her not as my unfaithful wife but as a flawed hero in her own right. "Emily, once this is over, we'll need to start over." "Really start over," I said, the path forward daunting but necessary. She nodded, wiping her tears. "I'd like that, Michael. More than anything." The detectives wrapped up their discussion and left us to absorb the reality of our new life. As they departed, the sun broke through the clouds, casting long shadows across the room. It was an ending, but also a beginning. A chance to rebuild, to forgive, and to grow from the ashes of our shattered past.